I talk about social advice and like personal advice pretty often on stream, and I feel that's because I'm pretty decent at conveying that advice. I think the problem that a lot of people have is that when it comes to receiving advice, you have these two ends of things, especially for men, I feel, where on one hand you have like this hug box attitude where it's like so patronizingly kind and sweet that it doesn't actually help with anything. It doesn't provide useful information. It's just like it's like the equivalent of saying like believe in yourself. Yeah, it doesn't actually like tell you anything. And then on the other hand, you have all of the like far right grifters with the Sigma male grindset stuff who offer advice in like incredibly aggressive and demeaning ways because they're meant to appeal to people with low self-esteem who are willing to like give up everything in the hopes of finding a new father figure. I'd like to think there's some kind of middle ground there. So I don't know whether or not the initial TikTok is a joke or whatever, but this got posted and it's disgusting. But we're going to look at it anyway, okay? Trigger warning for cockroaches or whatever. I hate looking at cockroaches, so if you don't like it, I get it.
Room as a Roblox streamer.
Cleaning my room as a Roblox streamer.
Again, first, I went over what we have. We
Good
have a
thing I
roach
can't see.
infestation. I don't think it's caused by me. I think it's just they're really invasive. We've got some bowls we have to clean up. Found this hot dog. July 4th. Alright, we clean up this chair. Get some of these bowls down. That's a little crusted on. Might need to soak it in some hot water first. We have some frappuccinos. Looks like something tried growing in here. Not on my watch.
Yeah.
Not on my watch. Now we got some
I would normally say this is a bit, but I don't think somebody would let their room degrade to this point as a bit, you know?
snack trays. Gotta clean these up. Don't want my dog to eat them. I think he already did. Some of it's missing. Found a little baby roach trying to get away. Sorry, honey. Didn't mean to leave that down there. Hope you don't mind. Alright, well that's about it. The room's pretty clean now. We've made a lot of good progress, so we're just gonna finish up another day. I'm pretty exhausted, so stay tuned.
So this ignited discourse, right? And I don't want to talk about the discourse. I want to talk about cleaning a room. I feel like I'm seeing more and more stuff online that is about people having these like disgusting nests that they form, and it's easier and easier to do this because more and more people are spending most of their life online. Like now a lot of people work from home as well, so this isn't just like a neat gamer thing, it's also like a broad social issue. I feel like I have some right to speak on this because I am a fastidiously clean person when it comes to my room. You can check with Vermin on that. It has even been a problem in the household, the fastidiousness with which I keep things clean. A lot of the cred that Jordan Peterson got early on in his career was from having little bits of good advice sprinkled in mountains of heaping bad advice and stupid, like, incoherent bullshit. And the whole clean your room bucko thing is true. That is correct. That is a true thing that you should do. You should keep you should keep your room clean. That is correct. And I think a lot of people have trouble doing that, or a lot of people think that it's a lot of people have a defeatist attitude towards it. Okay, let me try to analogize this, all right? You know how depressed people often benefit a lot from having a house pet because the routine and scheduling necessary to feed a cat or a dog or walk a dog or whatever can give their life a little bit of structure that they can build other things around. This is a really common phenomena, right? So like for example, I think for the most part, I don't really exhibit many depressive tendencies when it comes to how I order my life. I mean, I've been depressive at times, but I keep things clean, you know. But I have a really, really, really bad sleep schedule. That's the thing for me. So that's a symptom of a lot of things. Depression can be one of them. But my sleep schedule, whoo, I wake up sometimes here, I wake up sometimes here. It's bad, you know. But one thing that gives that sort of warbling, you know, mess a little bit of consistency is the fact that I have 3 now idiot cats who like food. Now, I don't feed them. Vermin feeds the cats. I don't feed the cats. But the cats, being stupid, will wake me up when they're hungry, you know? I'll be woken up to Artemy or Ruben sort of tackling me on my bed. And obviously when this happens, it's a bit irritating, of course. You know, they wake me up, and maybe I fell asleep at 4 a.m. last night, so it's not appreciated. But in a general sense, I think I appreciate the structure a little bit. It's nice, you know, they've got a little biological clock that tells them when they want to bury their face in a bunch of wet food. That kind of orders me a little bit. I think a lot of people do this with gardening as well, where even if it's insignificant, having a little potted plant by the windowsill in your kitchen, like keeping that alive, and growing is like kind of a marker, you know? It's like a thing to keep track of. I think that a lot of life is finding things that you want to keep track of and learning to enjoy keeping track of them. I know that sounds really reductive, but I genuinely think it's true, you know? Humans have a really abstract understanding of time compared to basically every other animal because we haven't broken free of nature, but we're more broken free of it than literally anything else. You know, we have a lot more control over how we live than most animals do because we're humans, you know? We can socialize our way in and out of a lot of patterns. I think that that can often like disconnect us from our environments in a way that's kind of unhealthy. It's like how humans are meant to see the sun, you know? Whether you work a day shift or a night shift, whether you're an indoor or an outdoor person, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, humans should see the sun, you know? Don't get skin cancer, right? Like don't spend 2 hours a day boiling in the heat, but you know, you should see the sun. I think that there's something genuinely quite nice about waking up to a sunrise. It feels like a very natural and healthy way of regulating one's sleep. Though sometimes the sun rises at like 5 a.m. this far north, and you know, again, it varies. But I think that keeping your room clean is also a really big part of that. It's not just about like discipline, though that is part of it. It's also about the pleasure of ordering something specific, and within that order, you have a lot more control over how you live your life, you know? The more fucked up something gets like your room, the more difficult it is, I feel, to be free within that space, you know? Like a lot of people have these nesting tendencies where a room will get really disgusting and like moldy and the food will stack up in the bowls and the blah blah blah. But the more you do that, the more you inhibit your ability to freely use that space and the less you think of yourself. I think it's really, really difficult to like turn to your left and see a bunch of like moldy plates with food left on them and not think less of yourself, right? To smell that and to be around that, it's just like an innately like lowering thing. So I think it's really important to keep your room clean, even if it's not perfectly clean. I mean, like usably clean, right? Like I'm pretty fastidious. I've got my cables nice and ordered over there, so well ordered that even when Ruben tackles all of them, they don't come undone. So good for me. And all my things on my desk have their own little place. And whenever I stack plates, I stack them over on a separate table I keep to the side of my desk, and I always keep it perfectly ordered, you know, and if there's ever anything there that smells or is wet, like the remnants of a soup, that gets taken down the same day, or yeah, my meal. Sorry, this is boy breakfast right here. You like that? Um that's a 5 hour energy and the remnants of a lightly buttered bagel and two half moon cookies from Trader Joe's. Like I said, I keep my life very ordered. You actually can't see because it's just off camera, but I've got my pile of 5 hour energies over there and I've got more downstairs. I got to bring the other ones up and have like a nice pyramid of boy dinner or boy breakfast, both on some days up there. My caffeine addiction aside, you know, I think that I think that keeping your room clean is very important, and can be done whether or not you have a caffeine addiction. You know, just let's be real, and please don't respond if the answer is no. I literally can't see hypers if you think your room is kind of a mess and it's a problem. I can see the emotes. You know, I can. Okay, yeah, I see. Yeah, I see. The funny thing about chores, and I think this is a big ADHD thing as well, because I remember distinctly for my entire life, and I never understood why I did this until I learned more about neuroatypical conditions like ADHD, is the phenomena of being a smart young lad. I'm a bright boy, you know, I've got my thinking cap on, and I would procrastinate for like 2 hours before doing homework, like in the fourth grade or whatever. And the homework would take 5 minutes. The homework was nothing, like literally like nothing. The homework was like no effort, but I would feel like dog shit for those 2 hours because the weight of the chore that I hadn't done was still you know, it was weighing on my mind, and it would taint everything else that I did. I didn't really enjoy the video games that I played during that time while I was procrastinating or anything else I did because I was just thinking about that little 5 minute task. And well, this is what's known as executive dysfunction. That's like the clinical term for it. When you want to do a thing but just can't. There are versions of executive dysfunction that are so bad, like that when they're explained, they sound like parody, you know? I think that I think this happens. I haven't seen the show, but I heard that at one point in the show, what's the really melodramatic show about the high schoolers that kind of became a joke? Euphoria. I'm thinking of Euphoria. That's the thing I'm thinking of. I think there's a character in Euphoria who at one point gets so depressive that they get a bladder infection because they need to pee, but they just lay in bed and never get up to pee. I saw a lot of people making fun of that, and I think that the show Euphoria deserves to be made fun of for a lot of reasons, so I'm not going to tell people to not make fun of the show for that. But that is an actual thing. And it sounds psychotic, right? Like, well, why would you not just like get up to use the restroom or something? But, you know, executive dysfunction can get that bad. It's like a mental thing, right? Now, I think, of course, for most people, okay, just can't read chat. Yeah, you know, it's like, well, why don't you just do this? And again, you know, that's like a very extreme end of things. The condition itself, or like the behavior, executive dysfunction, that's real. But there are things you can do. You know, there are things you can do to improve on it, to clean your goddamn room. There are things you can do to get around it. I think that usually people, when they feel like they want to do something but they can't get it done, like there's some impetus that's preventing them from starting it. I think that it can be good to fixate on doing a thing prior to the work that you need to get done and think of it as like an innately connected thing. So that sounds a little bit silly. So let me give an example. If my room is dirty sometimes, or like there's chores that I need to do, I think like, okay, so I need to do all this stuff. But step number one is obviously I have to disconnect my earbuds from my computer and plug it into my phone and then get shorts on so I have a pocket to put my phone in. And that way I can listen to the podcast that I've been wanting to listen to. And once I've done that and I have like the podcast on or whatever, the chores are like that, man. Because you sort of like the initial condition is something that you wanted to do anyway, if that makes any sense. It's like a brain trick thing, and it sounds really trivial, but it's about framing, you know? And usually chores are pretty trivial too. Let's be real here. Unless you have like a grievous physical disability, cleaning your room generally does not take that much time, even if the room is in a pretty bad state. To use an example, right? Like, presuming decent physical health, the state this room is in, and this is a disgusting room, it would not take me very long to clean this, right? You get a couple of big garbage bags in here. You get like a basket to put the dirty dishes in. You have the right chemicals you've ordered from Amazon to help with the bug infestation, and I could get that done in less than one podcast episode. I could get that done in 70 minutes or less. You approach it with energy, with fervor, right? You know, you just have to, I guess, convince your brain that it's worth doing. And it is worth doing. It's important, I think. There's a quote that I like from one of Kurt Vonnegut's books. I think it's Slaughterhouse-Five, where it was there was a British POW in a German camp. He'd been captured along with his men. He was being held by the Nazis. And attention was paid to the fact that because the British people were white, they were treated far better than many other POWs who were taken by the Nazis. The British POW, he was a captain or something, I think. He was explaining why he shaved every morning to the rather depressive main character of Slaughterhouse-Five, and he was saying something along the lines of like, if you stop shaving every morning, then the next morning, it was something like you stop shaving every morning, then you stop making your bed every morning, then you stop getting out of bed every morning, and then you die. Like there's like a sort of descending chain of self-care, and if you fail to do these things, you sort of end up in a worse position than you would be otherwise. So I don't know, it's important to keep a good head on for those sorts of things. And then you're so much more productive too when you're in a clean room. I swear to God, disgusting rooms are such energy drains, you know, because you look around and all you can think about when you're near a chore that hasn't been done is the fact that you need to do the chore. It distracts you from other things. It pulls at your mind, you know? It's just good to not do that. And I think that generally that kind of discipline and orderliness is beneficial to every element of a person's life if they can apply it. You know, no one can apply it perfectly. It's just a matter of trying as best as you can, and getting the best outcomes you can from that. What are you people on about? Yeah, I can barely even read chat even when I lean in like that. Jesus, such bad vision. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say.